DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto.
All right, bienvenidos. Welcome into Fresh Takes.
Oh, come again?
Exactly, I dropped a little Spanish in there. Welcome to Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo.
Me llamo Luis.
What?
Luis was my Spanish name.
Okay, interesting. Well, that's Nick Felice, or apparently Luis, back in Spanish 2 in high school.
I didn't make it past Spanish 2.
Fine, Spanish 1.
Well, I made it to Spanish 2. I didn't make
You
it past.
made it. Well, I'm saying, never mind. NCAA, we got Final Four. Stayed shock in that sense. We'll get to that. That's a later topic.
Shock.
Nick lost a shoe just now. We
We
won't
have an update problem today.
That's true. Well, actually, the computer itself is updating. That's why. So, anyway.
We actually updated.
Well, yeah, but that was a different. Anyway, you're traveling. You're the first person of the year traveling on the podcast, so we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. And but first, we got baseball stuff to talk about, which we're really looking forward to. But first, I think a couple more of our sponsors, including the Perfect Pair Eatery, quality carryout cuisine. Ugh. Tongue in the mouth issue. Let's restart and let's do that again, Nick. Are you okay with that? Okay. Think Perfect Pair Eatery. There we go. Quality carry-out cuisine in Seneca Falls. Everything is made fresh and in-house. Smoked meats, comfort classics, desserts, sweet treats, sure to please the entire family for lunch or dinner. Got some business lunch drop-off going on Monday and Tuesday. You can reach out perfectpaireatery.com or call them at 315-712-4004. Look for the yellow door at 64 West Barrett Street and the West & Company Diamonds and Jewelry. Full-service, family-owned jewelry store serving Auburn and the surrounding communities. You can check them out online at westandcompany.com or stop in and browse their full selections at 10 Genesee Street in downtown Auburn. West & Company, crafting fine jewelry since 1982. Okay, so, not on our bingo card when we were here last
What's that hat you got on today?
I got the Montgomery Biscuits alternative identity hat that I don't think they technically use anymore.
Oh.
So, anyway, when we were here last Wednesday doing our baseball preview show, I don't think we were planning on having one overall topic really dominate opening weekend conversation.
And it did.
And then Michael K. opened his mouth, as I call it.
It was the second.
Not a knock on Michael K. in this sense, but
It was the second game, right?
correct. But it ends up becoming the main talking point from opening weekend. That the Yankees, certain players have a different type of bat this year now, as we refer to as the Torpedo bat. Don't know where I fully kind of want to start with this. We end up, me and you are actually kind of on the same, more or less the same side of things here for the most part. And we'll get to a couple things involving that series in particular because of the amount of runs and offense generated that so people thought because of the bats outright. But this is something that's been around, Nick, for a couple of years now. So we're both kind of viewing it in the grand scheme of it as a nothing-ish burger. But at least for you on Saturday when all this stuff kind of starts kind of coming out, what was the initial thought? Because I think for a lot of people, and maybe justifiably so, it was just like, oh, the Yankees are up to something again here.
Well, I did have the Yankee game on Saturday.
Okay.
At the beginning. I'm just trying to process. Nestor Cortez giving up three home runs in the first 3 pitches of his Brewers career. And I'm thinking, does he still think he's on the Yankees?
That's fair.
And something seemed up, especially when the 4th home run came that inning as well. And they later had, 9 that game?
Yeah.
And then, was it before the home runs? When did they first announce the Torpedo? When did Michael K say that?
I think it was after at least a second inning, I'm pretty sure, because
because they were just trying to process how they.
Right. And
Well, he's just trying to make a point of like,
yeah.
oh, they did something different this year. That's maybe why they're hitting more home runs.
Yeah, for some of them, yeah. The interesting part there too, which not to really fully jump in here, is it wasn't early in spring training because there were games being played, but I remember there was kind of a blip about how Cody Bellinger was using the bat. It was more thick within the middle of the barrel, and that it was something that he kind of had with the Cubs and just brought it over because of the way he swings everything, and nobody really talked about it then, obviously. And that goes back to what I kind of started with too, right, is the fact that this has been around for at minimum one season. I've seen stuff where it's been a couple seasons now where at minimum the league has approved this style of bat that is now just, like we've said, being called the torpedo bat. It's interesting. I know the Yankees obviously have gotten the main, we'll call blowback on it initially. And I'm saying initially because a lot of people from around the league came to the defense of more, and it ended up being a team defense more than anything else, right? But, Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm for the Yankees using it. I've mentioned Bellinger. But other players have used it, and I think other people may be interested in knowing who some of these are, right? I know the Phillies, Bryson Stott, Bryce Harper, I think Alec Boehm all ordered, at least had them ordered and approved by the league.
They're legal. Might as well try them out.
I think you said Ellie De La Cruz has at least used one in the past at certain points.
Two-homer game this week, he was using it.
So it's not like... It's not like these bats are just like randomly sprung up, is what we're trying to really get at here at the forefront of this. Could they be helping? I'd be dumb to say I don't think so, but also I think two big things are being overlooked here, right? I'm going to go with the less obvious one first. At our disposal anyway, Nick, at least when we were playing together back in high school, we didn't really have any of the deep practice bats you could use for different drills and stuff like that. But I've been around. It's a lot of people, I'm surprised, don't know what a contact practice bat is, first and foremost. Secondly, and this is my argument I use for a number of different things in baseball that we won't get into today, but you still have to put bat to ball at the end of the day here. Like I said, this meant for certain, I guess, people and the way it is, right? Swing patterns and stuff like that, where you're meant to hit the ball in the actual sweet spot of where you're hitting it. For what people I know are saying, like, well, Aaron Judge had 3 home runs. Like, Aaron Judge uses his normal bat, not anything special. So, on that front, there's nothing crazy. Exactly.
And, when you first hear about the story, you're thinking, what is it, the aluminum bat in backyard baseball?
Right, yeah, it's a good comp, yeah.
It's like, is there like special bats you can win in this game now? And but no, I saw Ellie De La Cruz use the bat. Ellie De La Cruz used the bat this week, and he hit 2 home runs in a game. And yesterday, I assume he used the bat again. Didn't watch the game, but I heard about what Nathan Eovaldi did for the Rangers. Threw a complete game shutout in under 100 pitches. And I assume Ellie used the bat again, so it didn't work there. Like you said, you still got to put the bat to ball. The hand-eye coordination still comes in play.
Yeah.
And is it something that can help you hit the ball better? The sample size, from what we know, is not very big.
Right.
And in this little sample size, it has seemed to help a lot of people, but maybe some people don't like the feel of it,
Yeah, and that's the other part of this too, right? Is you've even had some of the guys like Volpe in particular and say like probably it's more of a placebo effect than anything else, making you think that it's that way. What kind of I think qualmed a lot of the discussion around it in the past 24 to 36 hours, the Brewers get swept in New York. Now facing Kansas City, and Kansas City opens up with a double-digit win as well.
They settled down yesterday with a shutout.
Sure, right, but not after more or less. I think. Could it be a little bit of a torpedo bat? Sure. Not going to sit here deny it. Maybe it's just the fact that the Brewers either A, because we're only, for the most part, 4 or 5 games in, depending upon what team you're looking at right now. Right? Opening season, first couple games, you just got to figure it out type stuff. Or B, and a thing about the Brewers that we didn't fully discuss last week, but also kind of mentioned, maybe their pitching just isn't that good.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of, like I said, I think it calmed a little bit of the discussion surrounding what the Yankees did to them over the weekend.
I don't know what your feelings on Nestor Cortez is. I mean, the fact that he's a number 2 starter is a point to that.
Yeah. I don't. Look, I love the story of Nestor. It's pretty apparent though in the pitch clock era, his stuff. And look, he's not going to overpower you with speed. He almost borderline doesn't really overpower you with movement either. A lot of his stuff is deception. And since pitch clock got implemented, the numbers don't lie. It's been a pretty tough downfall after a pretty quick ascent, in all honesty. So
it's just a disastrous start to his Brewers tenure. But
probably didn't help that he faced his old team in that sense either.
Yeah, who know him pretty well.
Right.
And I don't think this is a big issue. Obviously, it's blowing up right now. I think by August, are we still talking about these bats?
Probably not.
I mean, there's all different type of gloves.
Or not in the serious sense that we're having, right? Like, it might be one of those things where we're having it be a meme more than anything else.
There's all these different type of gloves. We should have more bats.
Yeah, true.
And the big point is we do so much to help the pitcher out. This is like the first thing that's actually helped the hitter out. The pitchers have become so dominant. We barely have anybody at bat over 300 in a season anymore. This could help the batter. And I know there's a big line between the batter and the pitcher. They don't really like each other.
And the catcher and the umpire, yeah.
Well, nobody likes the umpire. The umpire's over there.
It's been a pretty quiet weekend for them overall, by the way.
Yes. Early. Let's see if another Hernandez pops up here. Angel Hernandez.
Sheesh.
But it's definitely interesting that, I mean, who could have thought last week that this was what we were going to be talking about a week?
And you know, the other thing too, and you mentioned like there's all sorts of different gloves. There are also all sorts of different bats, right? I mean, I know for myself personally, when I used wood, which was a very limited window of my playing space, to be fair, I mean, I preferred an end-loaded bat. Now, if you're wondering why that is, that means the weight is more at the end than say centered or anything like that. That doesn't necessarily mean that the barrel was bigger at the end. It's just that most of the weight was in terms of if you have, you know, I think for what most people understand bat-wise as, like most people understand the drop 3, which is what you have to use in high school. And what we mean by that is -3. So if you have a 34-inch bat, it's a 31-ounce piece of wood.
I love a
metal,
good bat. I haven't held a bat in a long time. Man, it's always fun to just
I got a couple in the car still, obviously.
It's just nice this thing to like hold in your hand while you're just like, I don't know.
I agree with you.
There's
something about it.
Yeah.
If you want to, I got a Louisville Slugger and I have a Victus. Or actually it's a Marucci. Apologize. I sold my Victus. So
Yeah.
Victus, who actually is the one who makes the Torpedo. Mostly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just realized that as I said, I'm like, wait a second.
But other than the bats,
But there's also different like wood bats too, like different types of wood that allegedly do stuff different. I don't know. But
other than the bats, we got the Dodgers undefeated and we got the Braves winless.
not only the Dodgers undefeated, the whole Southern California area's only got one total loss between them, the Padres, and the Angels somehow.
What about Sacramento?
Boy, has that been an interest. Have you seen the first couple games up there at all?
Well, we knew you could hit the ball in that park.
Oh, that's not what I'm getting at.
You talking about the fans?
Oh, that Jeff Fisher thought he'd be escaping. he did not escape.
Did he show up?
Huh?
Did he show up?
He was at least at the home opener 2 nights ago. Yeah, did not go well for Jeff Fisher.
Are there actual people from Oakland that made the trip?
Yeah, it's my understanding is Oakland to Sacramento is kind of like an hour and a half-ish drive,
Oh, it's
2
not too
hours. No, in terms of whatever. Yeah, he didn't escape the booze, that's for sure, and sell the team chance. And they have a pretty strict now. As far as I know, as far as I'm aware, every stadium's like this. You technically can't be flying like drones overhead and everything, but apparently there's a very heightened emphasis on the Sacramento element for it. And I guess they had to take. I don't know how they necessarily took down the drone from the home opener, but they did. And yeah.
What's your favorite ballpark? That stadium or George Steinbrenner Stadium?
Oh my gosh,
As I'm watching that.
I mean, we talked a little bit about it.
As I'm
last
watching
week.
Steinbrenner Field right now.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it last week. I just don't. The Rays one is different just because of Hurricane took out their stadium. It's not like Jeff Fisher who just being not like Stu. Well, to be fair, it's not like Stu Sternberg's any better.
I will say for a spring training ballpark, it's pretty nice.
It's also a single A ballpark.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty nice.
I don't know, I've heard. It's funny because my parents are actually at the game right now.
They're at this game
because they're in Florida. Yeah, and well, at least my dad is. I can't speak to my mom. I know my dad.
Yeah,
is.
that's right. I think you remember they were going to watch skiing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they necessarily planned on seeing. They were going to one of the games, so either way. Yeah, my understanding was from at least the opening day stuff for the Rays. A lot of people were like, "Yeah, you can tell it's a minor league park." At the end of the day, it's just like I said, they're a little bit different to me than the Sacramento deal, where, like I said, Jeff Fisher just really chose greed than anything else. So,
They going to Vegas yet?
I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think the Dodgers go 162-0?
No. Do you?
I think there's a shot.
Yeah. So, I suppose there's never say never. Yeah. You mentioned the Braves being winless. They've got injuries. They got.
Well, they played who?
They got suspension. They played the Padres.
Padres and Dodgers, two pretty good teams.
But now they've been dinged up. They've been dinged up, and they got even more dinged up. They got suspensions now to deal with. They're probably, if you want to look at through at least the opening weekend, they gotta be the most disappointing team. I would think, right?
Are you Marlin?
Well, that's a little bit different.
Now you talk about a team. At least they have a major league stadium.
Sure, right, yeah. All three teams we've referenced in this qualm about the Braves have major league stadiums.
But the Braves will be all right, just to go back at that point. I think they'll be all right. I mean, what are they, 0-6, 0-7, something like that?
Yeah.
It's never good, but the Mets...
Do they go 62? 162?
There's a shot.
Yeah, that's true.
But they do have to play the Pirates, so... I mean, the Mets were 0-5 last year and still made it to the NLCS.
True, yeah.
And the Mets and others made it more dramatic than it was. It's flipping 0-5. Like, calm down.
I think a lot of it, though, is the weird Braves thing. So a lot of people view them as being the top of the division, and I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff we kind of sniffed out on them last week. So leave it at that. Other than that, it was kind of a ho-hum opening weekend for the most part. I know you kind of
a lot of splits.
You mentioned a little bit the Marlins with your Pirates, and I don't know if I've ever seen an opening 3-game set quite go that way that it did in Miami.
They are the first team to lose the first 3 games or whatever.
Yeah,
the first 3 losses, I think it is, by walk-off.
It's crazy.
Since like the 1924 Pirates.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, I didn't know it was the Pirates themselves.
Yep.
Wow.
It was the Pirates back then.
Shout out Honus Wagner.
Yeah. I think that was a little past Honus' time.
He was a coach at that time.
Yeah, it's true. But, yeah, not a great start. Should be an eye-opener, especially if they get swept by the Rays today. And I will be there this weekend.
We'll save that portion.
But I just want to say I am been practicing my booze.
As you should.
Derek Shelton will get announced.
What about Ben Charrington?
He should get announced too. Just for the brave enough.
What about coach who isn't there but is a lifelong Pirate coach, Joey Cora?
He should get announced. He's terrible, terrible third base coach.
We are brutal today. Let's go over to March Madness.
Madness?
Well, for you, I know it's not madness.
It is history, though.
First time since 2008, all number 1 seeds make the Final Four. That being Auburn against Florida, and then Duke against Houston.
Yeah. I haven't seen your brother in a while. I'm going to rip him so hard.
Uh-oh.
He's one of 9 people in our bracket channel to predict that Final Four. Like, get some.
I mean, yeah, it's weird. I had the only number 1s I had was Houston and Duke playing each other.
He picked all 4 1 seeds. Oh,
I personally speaking, and maybe this is something we can talk a little bit more because obviously Broom got hurt in that Elite 8 game, so who knows where he fully will stand going into Saturday. I know everything seems fine, but I mean, the way Auburn was playing going into this deal anyway, I didn't think they were going to get very far. Mm-hmm. Frankly, I don't know. It's weird. For Florida's depth, I didn't expect them to maybe make the Final Four either, but I don't know. There's something different, obviously, about this Duke team. Houston's the number 1 team defensively, which is something I kind of hang pretty tough with in these situations. I view it as, I guess, what we see as the left side of the bracket as being maybe the more surprising spot where we see both number 1 seeds kind of got through and be in the Final Four.
What I will say that I'm blanking on his name right now. Number 1 for Florida.
Yeah.
Is a hell of a player.
Yeah.
That guy in Florida they've escaped past some of these games they've been in.
Well, they had, and I don't know because look, they were. Let's not get twisted. They were up double digits at halftime, right? And then essentially Tech goes on a 18-4 run, and then Florida answers back with an 18-4. But it was the way that final 5 minutes played out. Florida, I mean, just.
And you predicted Tech in the Final Four.
I had Tech in the finals against Houston. I mean,
you were that close.
So, it's kind of killed my bracket at this point. I guess technically unofficially, but officially. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and yeah, just I don't know. I've seen the stuff that Florida was doing like in pickup games. I don't know if I've ever seen it in real life and work out the way it did, but man, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy how they've frankly survived that game to get to the Final
Four. And it's crazy. I know Florida and Duke were the main picks in our tournament challenge, and I would like to think they were the best.
I think they're the 2 main, period.
Yeah. And Auburn's the number 1 overall seed. And Florida's favored to win this game. I think, right? I think they are.
Let me check that quick.
And personally, I think people are sleeping on Auburn. Auburn's got some good players. Johnny Broom, obviously, the main headline for their players, but and Florida has
Live Golf. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Why is Live Golf the number 1? Oh, it's the second option on scores on the ESPN app right now. Am I missing something?
Live.
Yeah.
You a big fan?
Not particularly.
It's your favorite tour. It's your top 3 tours.
I'm more of a Corn Ferry guy.
Yeah, I figure you would be a big minor league guy.
What's the problem with that?
They're professionals, I know. They're all
better than me and you.
They're all pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the one sport where a guy out of nowhere could put together a good couple rounds. That's where 4 rounds gets difficult. Anyway, what we're talking about is Florida favored.
I don't understand. Why isn't... Oh, there's men's basketball. Florida is favored by 2.5 right now.
And I think people are sleeping on Auburn. Mm-hmm. And they're the number 1 overall seed. It's because, do we trust Bruce Pearl to get it done?
I don't know so much I trust Bruce Pearl. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, they just didn't play as well down the stretch as they did before. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. If you're looking from the betting perspective, you might as well just go both underdogs in these games, just because whatever.
In the Elite Eight, the SEC had a chance to get 4 teams in. They got half of them in. Mm-hmm. The other two did not make it. They weren't expected to win, the other two, but they could have got a shot at 4, and they got 2. And so they did escape that. Out of 14 teams, they did get 2 into the Final Four.
By the way, not to whatever, to the older generation, Houston's not in the SEC. I don't know why. There's a number of people
I think they are.
that think that they are for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Somebody needs to look at the standings once in a while.
I mean, it's not even like, well, they've been Big 12 for long, but like the last time they were in any de facto Southern Conference was the Southwest Conference back in the 80s and technically at the start of the 90s. Anyway, sorry.
What you call it? Samson there.
Yeah. I'm a big Kelvin Sampson guy.
He's put together such a great program. Yeah. He deserves the championship.
Yeah.
He got to the Final Four. Was it 2 years ago? Last year? Recently. Very recently. They got to the Final Four. A little bit of, taste of it. And he deserves a championship. More than John Shire. John Shire, who cares what he wants?
I didn't know this until he talked about it, and I could kind of I could take or leave Shire. I'm not. He's not like Coach K for me at the point of where like I'm just like this guy is like whatever. You want to talk about sliding door moment? John Shire talked this week about how he was a finalist for. I can't remember what the one job was, but I know it was DePaul. He could have taken technically 2 years ago before Coach K retired. And I mean, you want to talk about a sliding door moment here? Like that's kind of crazy, but.
Yeah. Oh, there's rumors. Wasn't it like Tommy Amaker who went to Harvard?
Yeah, I mean, Amaker was a guy.
Wasn't Coach K like upset that he left his staff? He's like.
Because he was seen as the successor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to get a job. He's not gonna wait for you to retire, bud.
Well, it's a lot like not to get too hyper local on this, but it's a lot like the Hopkins thing up here with Bayhigh.
He didn't want to keep waiting. He wanted his own job. He wanted a head coaching job.
Yeah.
And Amaker's done a great job.
Yeah.
And
I'll say this was like the first down year that they had.
And he's been loyal.
Yeah.
And that was interesting, just thinking about it. So Shire got the job, so he could have left, gone to DePaul, is what you're saying. But
I want to say the other job might have, I don't know if it was Villanova or Maryland, which is kind of funny.
Also, did you see Buzz Williams left?
So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, admittedly, after we kind of predict these games, because this is where it goes back to the conversation we had last week about players and everything, but this is where I want to get into. But we'll talk about that in a minute after we get to some predictions here. So,
I mean, I've been pretty vocal that it's been a pretty boring tournament, but yes, the 4-1 seeds are all in for the second time in history, but it's going to be great last 3 games here, though.
Yeah.
There should be all 4 of these teams got a legit shot to win the national title, and it should be a good Final Four on Saturday and a good championship on Monday, and which has been a dominant season by these 4 teams.
Who you got?
I think Duke's going to win. But I'm gonna take Houston. I don't think the SEC is gonna get it done. That's what I'm saying right now.
Well, they're only gonna have one bullet technically. Yes. So, look, Houston's who I picked at the start, so I'm gonna stick with Houston. Then a little teaser for everybody. I'm going UCLA on the women's side. So
I'm going UConn.
Of course you are.
I think
you complain about chalk over there. Goes with the most chalk pick all of a sudden.
Chalk. They're the 1-2 seed or lower. That's in.
All I'm saying is all of a sudden because they got in, everybody's picking them now.
They're the Cinderella story, the 2 seed.
You do not say, and I mean this with as much disrespect to you and the person I'm about to say this about as possible. Gino Auriemma is never a Cinderella. That prick.
The slipper.
Stop.
Speaking of another fairy tale, you see that Snow White movie did terrible?
Oh, my God. Gal Gadot sounded like Scooby-Doo.
I can't believe how...
You're here.
They didn't advertise that movie very well.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was actually a thing.
And then it was just out.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the Maryland dumpster fire, I'll call it, for the moment.
There was rumors Nate Oates.
So let's back up a hair. Their AD leaves to go to SMU. In the middle of negotiating Kevin Willard's moral extension, but like it more or less guaranteeing him to not go anywhere. Go to last week before the Sweet 16. Willard apparently skips the team dinner the night before. There's who knows what's going on. He's being, as I call it, purposely ambiguous about his future. Personally, I'm not a fan of the way any of it was handled on his end. Why? Because to me, he already knew what he was doing, and that was taking the Villanova job. The interesting part is, if you look at it from this end of things, Buzz Williams gets the job. And apparently, for as good as A&M has been the past couple of years, Williams was apparently potentially on the way out. It's an interesting hire for Maryland.
Interesting. They were thinking about firing him.
Yeah, A&M was thinking about. In fact, A&M probably was going to fire him. That was my understanding of the situation. Could be wrong. All I'm saying. I don't know if Buzz's style is going to fit Maryland all that well. I know I saw Queen's a big fan of it, but also he's barring something crazy.
Who's a fan of
Queen, the forward there.
Oh, really?
Which is interesting, but barring something crazy happening, he's going to the NBA, or he's declaring for the draft. Obviously, look, we have to wait to remains to be seen, right? We got Portal to deal with. We still have, like we talked about, we still have 3 games left to play technically here. So let's not get things twisted. I just, for a program that has rebounded really nicely, a historically good program that needed a rebound, and they did rebound over the past couple of years to kind of at least sniff that old glory that they had. You want to talk about a disastrous, frankly, 2 to 3 weeks here that they've had off the court. I worry. It's one of those things where you worry about the stability of it, right? And I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of weird because I know they're Big Ten, but I still view Maryland as a very East Coast program, right? I mean, not so much what I'm saying, like you still view them as ACC. I view them as like, look, this East Coast program, tough athletes going to there to play basketball. And you can go back, and I know I'm going to go into the history side of it here, nerd them a little bit, but like you look at the guys that like Lefty Drizel brought in and stuff like that, Len Bias, just tough dudes, right? And while that does play into, say, maybe a little bit of what Buzz Williams does, I just don't know if that style that Buzz has fits with what Maryland has needed to do, got to what they have done, and continue to do that into the next couple of years.
Well, no Big Ten representing this weekend in the Final Four.
Again.
It's always funny that Maryland has a more recent national championship than the Big Ten.
Yeah. And they're in
another conference.
Oh, no, Michigan State.
Michigan State was 2000. Maryland was like, what, 2002, 2004?
Not true.
Yeah. They're more recent. And Maryland's always been a basketball program. Hasn't been like that in a while.
Yeah.
But it's just Buzz is just, you said he was going to get fired, but he's just gone from team to team. So
he's had a weird, it's a weird lineage for him.
Is he loyal? And we just saw a Maryland coach do success.
I mean, I think he wants to be loyal. I view Buzz still as being like a Marquette guy. Like, yeah. I mean, and what's that? That's what, 3 stops ago now?
Yeah. And he did a great job at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
He did a decent job at Texas A&M. Wasn't there for that. That was his shortest trip, was Texas A&M.
Was it? I feel like VT might be the shortest.
I have to look it up. Really?
Stat boy. What's crazy is, that wasn't also even the coaching hire, too. I mean, I saw Pastor got the UNLV job, which I personally think is a great fit.
Yeah.
You want to talk about, again, what has been a historically good program that needs to bounce back. I think a guy like Pastner, who you could say what you want about him, I think he got the short end of the stick twice at Memphis and Georgia Tech.
He won the ACC championship during the second COVID year.
Yeah.
And but we just saw success at Maryland, and Kevin Willard went to Villanova.
Yeah.
What if Buzz does the same? Is he not? What's to say he's not going to go somewhere else?
But that goes back to what I was saying last week about stuff. It's just
they leave more than players do.
Everybody wants to do this thing with the portal with the players when coaches have been doing this for years and years, and it's whatever. I don't know.
But Red's coming back.
Yeah. All right, before we get out of here, kind of mentioned at the top, right? We always like kind of talk a little bit about when we travel, what we got on deck. Nick, you are the first one this year out of the two of us. Normally, I'm the first one out, usually hitting the road for a sporting event, but it's you this year. You, Pat Russo, brother Pat, friend of the podcast, heading to Pittsburgh this weekend for the Yankees and the Pirates. Yeah. So,
probably my 30th something time going.
Okay. Didn't know it was that many, but talk a little bit for the folks about the PNC experience if they don't know about it yet, what to expect on your end, and I don't know, whatever else. I mean, it's kind of crazy because it's been a couple years since I've been to PNC, but it's by far one of my favorite baseball venues. Period. So
yeah.
So
I bet, like I said, probably exaggerating 30 times, but
he's right. It's probably 60.
I've been there a lot. Me and Pat have talked about this. Never seen the Penguin Stadium. I'm thinking about actually just going over
Paints?
just to go over and see it.
It's not to interrupt. It is crazy because like relatively they're still fairly close to each other, but it's like on opposite ends of the city though. It's kind of crazy.
Like I've seen the casino, obviously. I've done the incline.
What's wrong with the casino?
I did the incline once.
Mount Washington, huh?
I want to see the Penguins Arena just to see the outside of it. Why not? Maybe we'll do it on Saturday morning.
They've had NCAA games there.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty recently too. And yeah, I think that would be something new just to see. You know, another thing I've never done. I've never gone to the Clemente Museum either.
Yeah, I want to do that too. My next trip, but the tough part with that is I know you have to like call ahead.
Yeah.
So
I've also done the tours at PNC Park. But the problem with the tour at PNC Park, you can't go in the clubhouse unless they're on the road. But I'm never there if they're not home.
Right.
So that's always sucked because I've done that tour a couple times, and it's cool. You get to go up the press box and see all the stuff you wouldn't normally see, but you never get to see the clubhouse, and it kind of sucks. But I saw Clint Hurdle. He came out of his office one day and he shook my hand. That was pretty cool. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Smell like alcohol. Bad joke.
Hey, it's the
Too
only
real.
good manager in my whole life. But
that's not entirely true.
my whole life?
For the Pirates? Not entirely true.
Oh, you're counting Leland.
No, I'm counting McClellan.
He got such a raw deal.
That's what I'm getting at.
Both with the Mariners and the Pirates.
Well, I thought now you're doing the Jeff Russell one too, where I'm like, well, I don't know about that.
But
the Russell teams did have talent. Wasn't like top tier talent, but it was talent.
yeah, but yeah, I mean those terrible teams. But thank you.
The disrespect to Garrett Jones
and Nate McLeod. But
exactly.
He
Travis
came back.
Snyder.
He
No, Snyder was there actually during the playoff stuff.
Yeah, didn't really pan out. But anyway.
Blue Jay legend.
Looking forward to watching the Yankees. Seen the Yankees twice in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Seen them at Tropicana Field and Fenway Park. Mm-hmm. This will be my third stadium I've seen the Yankees. Just happy it's not the Mets this year. I've seen the Mets way too much lately. Just timing. I don't ever plan to go see the Mets, but they just keep coming to my life. But Yankees will be interesting. I'm intrigued. Home opener. Mm-hmm. Yankee fans usually pop in. Intrigued to see what kind of fan ratio we have going on here. But I love the renovations they've done there.
I'll say they're all completely done now at this point, right?
And the bridge is looking great as well. But I love the no waiting in line for your food anymore. Don't care for $70 for 2 mixed drinks, but
wait, what? That's news to me. I need you to.
Pat and Matt and myself went last year.
Yeah.
Actually, it was 3 because it was 3 of us. So 3.
Okay, that's still not great, but not as bad.
So it was 3 doubles of mixed drinks.
You're getting doubles.
Yeah. So
okay.
it was like 70.
Now it's adding up a little bit here.
But it's still crazy. They were just like little drinks like this too. They weren't even big.
So I don't know how.
Your brother was drinking water.
Me and you are well, but me and you have been in a similar spot here for a little bit now. Like don't get me wrong, I still enjoy having a beer at a baseball game, but like it's not a priority for me anymore. I feel like
hot dog.
Well, right, but like
They got great hot dogs there.
well, I was gonna say for me with Pittsburgh at this point, and I know it's not like barbecue. This man, dude, Manny Sanguine's barbecue joint there is so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right on right center.
Yep.
And I've been there so many times. I know the whole place pretty well.
So I know you said off air, so I'll ask you, pierogi dog. You getting a pierogi dog?
I didn't get it last year, and I'm gonna try to get it.
Do you like pierogies?
I've honestly never had a pierogi until I had one.
Really?
But I did have one recently.
Okay.
At the Rossi Peg. Is it here in Geneva?
Oh, we're in Geneva, yeah.
Yeah, and they're pretty good.
I love a good pierogi.
I think I've had one before that, just not too often in my life.
I love a good pierogi. This is going to be a very.
They were pretty good.
This is going to be a very like dumbed down, not maybe great comp. It was kind of like a boil. Well, technically you boil ravioli, I guess, but like
It's basically
yeah, it's kind of like but
it's
like
pretty good.
I'm a big pierogi guy though. Love a good pierogi.
I'll try to if I got enough room in the stomach.
You will.
I'll get some.
It's tough when the first ball game of the year in that sense, no matter where you go, it's always tough because like it's like you want like the classics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's gonna sound stupid like as an adult, it's like you want a hot dog, you want like ice cream, you know what I mean? Like you want like everything that like makes you feel good.
I'm not a big popcorn guy.
Well, I know that for you, yeah.
Or peanuts, not so much. I know those are big ballpark things.
Not only that, but when you combine them in the baseball setting, you're in Cracker Jack too.
Also, the scummy people that throw their peanuts on that's got to stop. So we got to cancel that.
So you're calling me a scumbag?
Yeah, this is 2025. Stop throwing your peanuts.
You woke up Siri for me on my phone.
Stop throwing the peanuts on the ground.
Shell? Where are you supposed to put the
Put
shell?
them in a cup. Get a cup. They'll give you a cup. It's disgusting, man. People gotta stop doing
Well, if it's a souvenir cup, I can't get my peanut shells.
Get
in a
another
souvenir
cup. I hate that.
Wow, what? This is a crazy take. To me, it's a crazy take.
It is. Like, I get that back in 1950 that was allowed. That's what everybody did. But
there were other things allowed in 1950. Let's not go there.
But we gotta stop with the peanuts just throwing it all over the floor. That's just disgusting.
Do you eat the shell?
No, I do it. I just throw it in a cup. Like, come on.
You're crazy.
It's gotta stop.
All right, fair enough.
That's my hot take for ballpark.
So that's Nick's preview of PNC Park in the Pirates game. Is apparently we are.
I will start yelling.
We are rallying against peanut shells on the ground.
It's gotta stop.
All right, that I think wraps up Fresh Takes for this week. Yeah. Next week, the only two guarantees will be we'll recap Nick's trip to Pittsburgh and we'll preview my trip to Bristol, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to that. Or I guess recapping, obviously, the Final Four and championship game, but that one's kind of a given. Who are you shouting out today, Nick?
I'm actually shouting out my man, Conrad York, who went to Cuca College.
Okay.
He's a Yankee fan.
Okay.
And he's going to be there this weekend.
Sure.
And he's going Saturday and Sunday's game, so hoping on Saturday I can run into him.
Nice.
And, yeah, he likes the Pirates. He's told me. We've talked back and forth about baseball and stuff, but big Yankee fan. He's going to be there this weekend. Cuca College guy. Shout out Conrad.
Shout out Conrad. Happy 29th birthday to Conrad.
Yeah, not a birthday shout out.
Max is an adult after all.
Yeah. R.I.P. King to Cotton. Stop the shells.
It's crazy by you, but I respect it. So that does it for Fresh Takes. Appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in. We'll be back at it live next Wednesday afternoon. If you cannot get there, you can always find us on the FL1 YouTube channel, Spotify, and all the stuff like that. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. We'll talk next week.